Welcome to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco, bringing you interviews with industry experts and regular folks who tested the job search waters and succeeded, and strategies to tell your story and land you job interviews in 60 days, guaranteed. Here's your host, Virginia Franco.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Resume Storyteller podcast. This is Virginia Franco, and I have with me Bill Fell. Bill is an executive life science recruiter and career coach who is also the owner and director of recruiting services at HiredIQ.net, which is a national recruiting and career coaching company focused on medical device, pharma, biotech, and clinical research industries. He's been a science recruiter for over 8 years and has made over 200 placements. His earlier background, however, includes years in pharma and medical device sales, training, and leadership. Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you, Virginia. I appreciate the invitation.
So you heard my brief introduction. I would love to hear in your own words, give us a quick overview of what you do and how you came to be in this role.
Sure. I've been a life science recruiter now for 8 years. And I got involved with doing this because I enjoy helping people. I have probably one of the best positions that you could possibly have. I actually get to help not only companies become stronger, but I also help to have candidates actually find the next step in their career. And it's a win-win for everybody involved. And there's not many times where you have a position where you're able to actually be able to work on two different sides of the coin and have all the different interactions that you have on a daily basis. And that's one of the reasons why I enjoy this position, because not only am I helping people, but I'm also actually, no 2 days are ever the same.
I'll bet you help people, but you probably get both parties mad at the same time as well.
I'm sorry, get mad?
I'm sure sometimes you get the brunt of frustration on both ends as well. So I'm sure it's a tough, delicate tightrope to manage.
You have to remember, it's just like, hey, we all put our pants on one leg at a time. And honestly, there's some days that some people are having good days and other people are having a bad day on the same day. So it's like, hey, it's just coming to the realization that it's like, hey, what your goal is to try to help people and help companies. And honestly, if you're doing that, it's just like, don't come to the realization. And actually, if I can get a candidate or a client to actually smile or laugh with me, it's a good day. It's a good day.
So how did you go from sales to recruiting and then coaching?
Well, I would say sales and recruiting are very similar. I was in career transition 3 times in my career, and I was working with a few recruiters, and I was just like, okay, I came to the realization that this would be a great avenue. I had a lot of stuff was going on in my personal life. I was a national speaker trainer for a biotech cardiology company, and I was doing a lot of traveling. And there was a few things going on in my life that were distractions that were making me a hazard on the road, not only for myself, but for others. And I actually wanted to stay in the space that I was in. So I figured that instead of actually being a hazard on the road for everyone, I figured being a recruiter would actually be a safer avenue for everyone.
Okay.
And it's just like, hey, it worked out. My father was diagnosed with congestive heart failure. My mother was diagnosed with spinal cancer. And I'm just like, Mom and Dad are both doing well, but honestly, it's just like, hey, my head wasn't on straight at the time with everything that was going on with their life. So, yeah, I've been doing the recruiting now for 8 years. And as you mentioned, I've made over 200 placements in that time frame.
That's amazing. That's amazing. So you see all different, shapes, sizes of people. Tell me, what do you see as a couple of challenges that you see commonly facing the people that walk in through your doors in terms of, embarking on the job search?
Okay. One of the biggest challenges I see candidates applying for positions that they're not qualified for, that they think they're qualified for, but in reality, they're not. For instance, so I do a lot of recruiting for sales positions. And more often than not, clients require that they have minimum of 3 to 5 years of experience in the industry. Yeah. And there are several clients who's like, hey, we're totally fine if they actually have B2B experience and other prior sales experience in other industries, no problem with that. And then there's times where it's just like, okay, you have to have this prior industry experience. And the reason why they have to have the prior industry experience is they're not looking for someone that has never sold the medical device before. They want someone that actually...
So that's a deal breaker. They absolutely have to have that.
They got to have that experience. I mean, for instance, I'm working on a few positions right now, one of which is this: you actually have to have covered a large geographic territory. And specifically, you've had to have covered at least 1 or 2 states. And when you look at candidates, it's like, okay, that have never had that experience and they're trying to actually break into the life science space, it's just like, okay, there's too many variables up at risk there. And honestly, as a recruiter, we have to make sure that we're listening to what their clients are asking for, and also making sure that when we are presenting candidates that don't have that, that we're justified on why they don't have that. and why they should take a chance with that. I won't rule out some candidates, but for the most part, it's just like, hey, if you've never covered 3 or 4 states before as a rep, your only experience was actually working in a department store, the amount of windshield time that you're going to have right off the bat is going to be instrumental. And honestly, it's just like, it may not be the job for you after you've tried it for 6 weeks or so, and you're like, okay, this isn't for me. I can't do this with my family commitments. And I'm just like, okay, and then having to go through the process again of replacing you, clients don't want to do that.
So are you saying that it sounds like if a person makes a case to you as to why they could overcome this deal breaker, you're willing to consider it, but by applying for the role, that would never come across? Or are you saying they shouldn't even try to apply with that?
If you feel that you're qualified for the position, and you have close to half of the requirements, or you actually have you have the motivation and the desire to do the job, put your hat in the ring. I'm like, I'd rather you go and try versus you not trying at all or not applying at all, because at least being able to have you being considered, you never know. There's going to be that rare opportunity where it's just like, okay, someone's going to give you a chance. And I have no problem. In fact, I was doing career coaching this morning with 2 candidates. Both are actually trying. One has 10 years of experience, is coming from a very respected teaching institution in the Northeast that is looking to actually switch from being a research scientist to working in a pharmaceutical company in research and development or clinical development. And he didn't have a prior, he's worked in a lab, he's done this and everything else like that. And it's like his skills are easily transferable. Yeah. And I was just like, okay, definitely going to be working with him and trying to actually get him presented to a few of my clients. And then I have another guy, he has 5 years inside sales experience and is trying to actually break into an outside sales position with either a pharma or a medical device company. And he's being told by my peers that it's just like, okay, that's not going to happen. You don't have the training, you don't have this, you're not working as an outside rep. When I started my career, I worked as an inside sales rep for 2.5 years. And I was just like, and companies gave me an opportunity going out there and produce results. I managed to actually, once I got an opportunity to prove myself, seize full horns and was able to actually produce 3 President's Clubs.
So he got in sort of through a pivot. You started inside and then made the way to outside.
Yes, but with a different company.
Yeah. Okay, so people are applying for roles that they're unqualified for, and it sounds like they're just not making the case as to how they can close the gap.
And here's another challenge that I see. So when I'm asking someone, it's like, okay, how long have you been looking and how many positions have you applied to? And one of the things I always scratch my head, I was just like, okay, I've been looking for 3 or 6. I had a candidate come back and tell me this in the last year. I've been looking for about 6 months now, and I've applied to 5 positions. And okay. And I'm like, are you employed or unemployed? She's like, I'm unemployed. You're unemployed. You've applied to 6 positions, and this is going on for 6 months. And I'm like, okay. And it is requiring a ton of restraint on my part to just say, look, your activity is non-existent. I was just like, you have to come to the realization you're shooting for a 10% return. For you to be able to get 1 interview, you have to apply for at least 10 positions. And whether or not you're applying directly to the company, to an external recruiter like myself, or doing it through networking and being able to actually get your name out there through companies that you're interested in, if you're not doing that, you're not going to get the results. You have to have the activity level to be able to actually get the results that you're looking for.
Yeah, that makes sense. Now put the work in to get the results. So what about those people that are applying for roles they're qualified for and do seem to have an adequate level of activity? Is there something that you find that they're most surprised by when they do, start job searching?
One of the things that they're surprised at is, okay, how to answer questions and also the questions that they should ask, specifically to the hiring manager. And I just like, there's many resources out there that people can read. One of the best books I've read throughout my career, 101 Toughest Answers to Interview Questions by Ron Fry. I think he has 4 or 5 editions of this now. I found
by
that
Ron
book
Fry? Take a note of that.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I found that book to actually be very easy read. It gets you in the detail. It gets you in the right mindset. And it doesn't make any difference what type of position you're going after, whether it's sales, engineering, research and development, accounting, finance. The questions are going to be similar across the board. Yes, there's going to be questions that are specific to the field that you're going after. But for the most part, the questions are going to be interchangeable regardless of what type of job you're going after.
And these are questions that you need to prepare to answer and questions that you need to ask.
Correct.
Okay. I could see people being prepared to answer questions but not to ask.
That blows me away. I will tell every single candidate, when you're going for an interview, whether you're having a phone interview, a video conference interview, or a face-to-face interview, you need to have the questions that you want to ask written out. And I was like, oh, I've been doing this I'm in sales. I'm very comfortable asking questions. And I was just like, okay, that one chance that you have and you're going to possibly blow up because you went blank and you didn't have your questions written out could literally prevent you from landing that job that you want because you weren't prepared.
So is it your sense that interviewers look down on people that don't have any questions prepared, or that their questions are poor?
Their questions are poor, and also that they weren't prepared.
Yeah.
And honestly, I've had several hiring managers come back and tell me, it's just like, look, if I don't see them when they're doing a face-to-face interview, whether it's a video conference or if it's in person, and they don't have questions written out, it's just like their value that they have established during the interview process is actually being decreased dramatically.
Wow.
I've worked as a contract recruiter for both hourly positions and salary positions. Mm-hmm. And I'm floored by the number of times both hourly and salary candidates come in and don't have anything written out in front of them. I was just like, Jay, why don't you have this? This was clearly stated in an email I sent you of what to bring to the interview process. You brought your driver's license, you brought this, and you have your copy of your resume, but you don't have any questions written out. Why? I didn't think it was necessary. I have them in my head. Okay, what are you going to ask? What are the 5 questions? I literally will ask them because I'm screening them before the hiring manager, and the hiring manager has told me, look, if you don't feel that they're qualified or if they're not prepared, cut them. So I've had a couple of times where they've driven half an hour, 45 minutes for an hour interview. I have the first 15 minutes of the interview with them to make sure that they're good to go, and they're not prepared. I'm saying it's like, okay, something came up with the hiring manager showing them the door, and they're getting a rejection email within 15 minutes of that time frame.
Okay, because it shows that they're not invested. Is that sort of the perceived?
Yes, they didn't take the time to prepare for the interview, and why would a company want to have a candidate like that?
Sure. Okay. All right. So in terms of advice for someone who's getting ready to job hunt, be prepared, and that includes being prepared for 2-way questions, you asking them asking you. Is there any other advice that you might give someone before they jump into the job search waters?
Yes. I think the biggest thing is just like, all right, the amount of stress and nervousness that occurs from going in an interview process, it has to be on par with doing public speaking. I mean, not many people want to go through the process of interviewing, and that's if they were comfortable in a job, even though they may not like the job, versus trying to actually go find something else new. It's just like they don't want to do the interview process because honestly, it's not enjoyable.
No, I don't think I've ever heard anyone who loves interviewing.
Yeah, I mean, if you come back and just remember, it's just like, look, you got to make that first step. It's just like you got the ball in motion. You're now in an interview. Either you got reached out by a recruiter or you applied for the position or you networked for this position. Okay, so you've showed an interest. You're moving forward. You're just having a conversation with a friend you don't know that well yet. And you have to remember, there's just companies aren't hiring people. It's people are hiring people. And we got to go back to the whole saying, it's like people deal with people they know, like, and trust. So the biggest thing is just like, okay, try to establish some type of rapport. Yes, the hiring manager understands that you're nervous, that you're uncomfortable, that you don't want to do this. But they also understand that just like, hey, the only way that we can bring you on board is we got to get to know you kind of thing.
Yeah.
So make sure that you actually
get to know you.
Yeah, make sure you take a little bit of time. It's just like, okay, and show them this, like, smile during the interview process. I mean, one of the questions I actually encourage candidates to ask is, what have I not asked that I should?
Ooh, that's a good one.
That shouldn't be your first question by any means.
Don't lead off with that? Okay.
Don't lead off with that. No, definitely don't lead off with that. I would recommend that you had 4 or 5 good questions, and it's like, okay, you're interested in knowing about the training. You want to find out what separates a good employee for whatever, okay, say you're going after an engineering position. What separates a good engineer from an exceptional engineer? Being able to hear that response from your hiring manager is going to make a world of difference because, hey, they're going to tell you what they're expecting right off the bat. And then being able to go back and say is just like, okay, I always make sure, especially with sales positions, that you're closing. And one of the questions that a salesperson should always ask, what's your biggest concern or objection for moving you forward in this interview process? You're only asking for one thing. You're asking for the biggest concern or objection. You're not asking for a list. When you ask for a list, you're more or less making it harder for that person to hire you. If you're asking for what the biggest problem is, and you address that, okay, I've addressed what your biggest concern is, when can we schedule the next step in the interview process?
Okay, and is it your sense that the responses are truthful? Because I would imagine that some people are put off guard with that answer, might be hesitant.
Well, okay, here's a perfect example. So I had a woman that had been looking, she was a director of marketing, let's say late 40s, early 50s. She was trying to actually get a medical device sales position. And she posed a question to the hiring manager. This actually occurred within the last 3 weeks. she posed the question to the hiring manager, what his biggest concern is or objection about moving her forward in the interview process. And he let her know, he goes, well, you're going to be covering a large geographic area and you don't have that prior experience. He didn't realize, and she didn't have it included in her resume, that she was covering a large geographic area. She was actually working for a physician's office that actually had 5 satellite locations throughout the state. And so she did have that experience, and that because she asked that question, she was able to address it, and it was no longer a concern. And the great thing is, not only did she go through the interview process, she also got a job offer and starts with the company April 2nd.
Wow, that's great. Okay. No, you're right. I love that. It closes and it allows you to overcome any last minute, potentially otherwise hidden objections.
Right. Because if you're not, you don't want a list. Because if you ask for a list, it's going to be so much harder to overcome a list. But if you're asking for what the biggest concern is or objection, that's going to help you tremendously.
Okay. What do you say, and I'm sure you get people like this, that are, they've been job hunting, there's no success. What advice do you give them to help them figure out where things are going wrong? Like you mentioned, the woman who you obviously figured out she wasn't active enough because she'd only posted for 5 jobs in 6 months.
It's going to vary on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
There are some people, for a reason, they think they're personable, but when you talk with them or do a video conference with them or you meet them, their nonverbal body language, their lack of smiling, their lack of being able to actually just relate with you as another human is so stiff that you could just tell it's like, okay, I would love to encounter this person outside of this interview and see how they interact in a bar situation.
Yeah.
And it's like, because maybe it's just like they don't know how to relax in this thing. So I always look at an individual basis, like what's going on? Why are they not getting to their goal? And there's sometimes where it's just like, okay, for a reason, they're not happy with themselves, and they have to come to realizations that, look, I need you to go into the next interview, and I need you to have a smile. And you tell someone that, they're like, okay. And you can just hear that it's like, okay, there's a lot going on in my life right now that I can't smile about. And I'm just like, well, you got to find something, because honestly, it's just like that smile is going to actually, you're going to invite a smile back.
And where do you recommend people go to have someone like you figure out what's wrong? Like, how do they know their nonverbal body language isn't working or they aren't being active enough? How would someone find someone like you?
Great question. If they're in the life science space and they want my help, they're more than welcome to reach out to me. That's easy enough. The biggest one is don't reach out to your family and friends. Reach out to someone that you know, but is also going to give you a candid answer and really isn't going to blow sunshine up your backside. You want someone that actually is, okay, they might ruffle a few feathers from time to time, but they're always going to give you honest feedback. They're not going to tell you what you want to hear. They're going to be able to provide you honest feedback. And I think when you find someone like that, that's going to make a world of difference. It's like, hey, what am I doing wrong? And it's just like, whether that's a career coach, whether that's a mentor, or whether that's just someone that you actually run into that for a reason you respect them and you just want to get their input.
Okay. As long as you just need someone who's willing to be candid, whether it's, like you said, coach, mentor, someone you trust. That's not your friend or your mother.
Yeah, I have told high-level executives that are making $300,000 or $400,000 in base salary. The photo that you have on LinkedIn scares me. You look like you're a serial killer. You look like you're wanted by the FBI. I've told one executive, you look like you're constipated, and you honestly aren't happy with the work. And the guy's like, wow. He goes, you got through to me. And I was just like, okay. Oh, I'm like, you've heard other people say something like this. He goes, yeah, I don't like having my photo taken. I'm like, well, that's blatantly obvious. And I don't want to be talking with you today because of your photo.
Oh, that is funny. You had him at constipation, I guess. All right. So my next question, and I imagine you get this as well, people that come to you and they have very diverse skill sets. They could go in a couple of different directions. Maybe they could go pharma, maybe they could go device, they could go sales, they could go to, inside or outside sales. How do you advise them?
They have to figure out what path they want. And anyone that's just like, okay, I'm looking for any job. That's the worst possible avenue to have, because it's like, okay, you're spinning your wheels in 5 or 6 different directions. You're going to have a much shorter search if you're focused. So if you're going after, say, I'm trying to actually get an engineering position, but I'm also interested in being an associate professor at a college. Okay, in engineering. Okay, well, that's fine. They're 2 completely different avenues. So do you want to be an engineer that is involved with the product development, or do you want to be an engineer that's teaching other engineers to actually advance in their career? So figure out the path that you want. And if you can narrow it down to at least 1 or 2 paths, that's going to be much easier to be able to actually go after 1 or 2 of those. You're going to be better off if you have it down to 1. but you're going to be better off. It was just like, look, versus trying to went after 5 or 6 different avenues. You have to figure out what excites you, what do you want to do. I remember in high school where it was just like, okay, take the aptitude test and let you know what you're going to be. And I took the aptitude test, and I was laughing at the results I got.
What did it say for you? And I'll tell you what it told me.
They told me I'd be a good funeral director. I was just like, are you kidding me? I was just like, that's the last job I want. I was just like, no offense.
It told me I could be a flight attendant.
Yeah, I mean, no offense to the people that actually do that on a regular basis, but no. I mean, I wear my emotion on my sleeve. And I'm like, if I had to deal with dead people and grieving families on a daily basis, God knows I'd be buying a hell of a lot more alcohol on a weekly basis. And honestly, my liver would be sending me postcards from all over the world. Wish you were here.
That's right. That's true. So listen to your gut with what excites you. And if you've got 5 or 6 paths, aim for 1, but 2, at least 2. Try to narrow it down to 2 just to minimize how much you spin your wheels.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Jessica,
I agree.
Jessica, flight attendant, I was just like, really?
I know.
I think the testing model that they have, or the career aptitude model, needs to be revised a little bit.
Right. Well, yeah. For me, they would have. I would have spilled food on their laps within the first row. So.
Yeah, I'm sure you would have been a good flight attendant, but honestly, it's just like, no, it's just like you have a lot more to offer than a flight attendant. And honestly, I'm not negating flight attendants by any means, because honestly, I would like to be able, if I'm flying, still be actually able to get a drink and actually enjoy a meal and not have to actually have any flight attendants mad at me.
Yeah. I would have been a miserable flight attendant, and I could not have gotten anyone out in an emergency. So it would have been horrible for me. So I don't know what it was based on. All right, so switching gears, I just turned 50, so that's a topic I've been talking about it a lot. Age discrimination is one of the perceived barriers to hiring practices. And I know in sales, it gets talked about even more. What are your thoughts on the topic, if it's overcoming it, if you think it exists, et cetera?
It exists. There's no argument on that. It clearly exists. I mean, I have had numerous confidential conversations with clients that have clearly told me that they're looking for candidates that have 5 years of experience, that honestly are younger than 45 years of age, this, that, and the other. And then I have other times where I pose the question. It's just like, I'll just throw out to the client and say, describe your ideal candidate. And I was like, okay, they'll go over their must-haves they should have. And then I was just like, just waiting to see. And I'm like, anything else? I mean, how about age? How about sex? Or else like that. And they come back, and it's just like, some of them, just like, okay, no, I have no issue, whatever. We like to actually have diversity across the board. We like to have this, that, and the other. Others is just like, okay, no, we only want to have this. We only want male candidates that are between the ages of 28 and 45. I'm like, okay. And stuff that I literally is just like, I can never share who the clients were that said that to me, but it's just like, okay. I'm like, I've got a great female candidate, and it's just like, will you consider this? No, because we have not had a good experience with this. It's just, they won't fit in with the culture. We have a male culture. We have no females working here. Okay, you should have told me that up front, and that would have made a little bit more sense. But yeah, so the biggest thing is with age discrimination or any type of discrimination is like, look, you're not going to be perfect for every company. There is no argument on that one. But the thing that you have to remember is, okay, find where you have a match. I mean, it's just like with finding a job, it's very similar to dating. It's like, you're not going to connect with everyone. Not everyone is going to be perfect for you. I mean, Hugh Hefner, that he was 80 years old and is dating a 20-year-old, I was like, okay. All of his 80-year-old friends is like, okay, dude, you're awesome. It's just like you're dating someone a quarter of your age.
60 years younger.
But honestly, it's just like, what do you have in common with her? It's just like, okay. And then when you kick the bucket, what's she going to be doing after that? She's going after the next rich guy. It's just like, okay. So let's look at the scenario. It's not every position is going to be perfect for everyone, regardless if you have the skills or not. It's just like, hey, you're going to have to look for opportunities. I mean, I've had clients come out and tell me, it's just like, look, I only want candidates that are between the ages of 40 and 60. And I was like, it doesn't happen that often, but I have had clients come back and say this. I was like, I only want candidates that are between the ages of 40 and 60. I was like, why? We don't have to train them. We know they're going to be grateful, and they're going to work their backsides off. And if we give them the right amount of direction and the right amount of tools, they will actually produce results that are second to none. I was like, awesome. And those opportunities, do come every once in a while, but they're not an everyday occurrence.
How do you recommend clients weed through to figure out who's a good match for them?
I'm not sure if I understand your question.
Oh, so you said you're not a perfect fit for everyone. So focus on finding your match. How, what kind of research needs to get done so that someone could say, this seems like a company that would be well aligned to hire someone like me?
Okay. I think the easiest way is when I'm talking with hiring managers, I just like, okay, I get to understand their personality. That's one of the things I have an innate skill with, where I'm able to assess someone's personality very easily and read them with close to 95% accuracy. And I'm like, all right, I know what they like, and I have an idea of what they're looking for from the conversation.
Okay.
Versus as it's like, okay, if you're not able to assess someone like that, you would have some people that would dread working for someone who is actually a little bit more off the cuff, and then someone who's super conservative, keeps to themselves, or anything else like that. As it's like when you go back and look at like the DISC personalities, as it's like, so are you an introvert? Are you an extrovert? Are you more analytical, or are you more, it's just like reactionary? And it's just like be able to figure out, it's like, okay, what's your personality and how does that mesh with the team that you would be joining, or be able to have it, and then be able to figure out, to say, okay, the clients are assessing that already, but it's just like, okay, the candidate also needs to be doing that too. Did I answer your question? I'm not sure if I did.
I think so. Well, it seems to me that you need to have someone that you recommend. People need to work with recruiters to be able to do the matching, because there's not a real way to tell, I'm an extrovert on this age.
I think working with recruiters is a good recruiter. I'm going to make sure I qualify that one. A good recruiter that knows his client well and knows his candidates well. Him or her knows their client or candidate well. There's also other resources available. I mean, Glassdoor is great. But the thing is with Glassdoor, when you see a lot of negative reviews, just remember, for whatever reason, these are people that might have been let go for numerous reasons. Yeah. And so you have to remember, you're going to tell 10 people about a bad experience. You're going to only tell 1 or 2 people about a good experience.
That's right.
So it's just like, hey, take it with a grain of salt when you read bad reviews. It's just like, okay, biggest thing is always, one of the questions I always encourage candidates to ask, it's like, why do you like working at X, Y, and Z company?
Okay.
One time a hiring manager responded to the candidate, I was just like, I like working here because they pay me regularly. Okay, wow, we've lowered the bar considerably with that one.
But if that's important to you, and my thought is that job seekers can talk to other people that are working in companies of interest and ask those kinds of questions to sort of start seeing if their personalities mesh and the cultures align.
Yeah, I honestly encourage people, is if you're going to the client site to actually do a face-to-face interview. Okay, so what's your interaction with the receptionist? What's your interaction with the people that are there? Is it month end and everyone's stressed out? Or is it like, okay, more of a laid-back environment or anything else like that? For instance, I mean, I'm totally comfortable wearing a necktie every day. I'm glad I don't have to, but there's some positions, honestly, people don't want to wear a necktie. They don't want to get dressed up every day. Yeah. So is that, what's important to you? I mean,
what's important
do you want business? Do you want business casual? Do you want casual? I mean, I've seen some employers where literally it's just you're allowed to wear flip-flops. I'm like, okay, for me, that would be, I have a hard time grasping that concept, but for some people, that works for some.
That's right. No, I agree. Okay, no, thank you. That's a good answer. So 1 or 2 tools that you feel a job seeker cannot be without during this journey?
First and foremost, have someone, have a spouse, have a significant other, have someone that you're able to talk to. Even if there's another job seeker, just being able to, like, okay, what you're going through. And I honestly think that having another job seeker is going to be better than a spouse or a friend, because they're in the same position as you. But just make sure that those aren't the only people that you're talking with all the time. Because if you're on the life raft and the only people you're talking with are on the life raft, you're never going to get the land. And getting the land is actually getting that job. So you want to make sure you're talking with people that are actually on land and also on the life raft.
So don't do it alone now, is what you're saying.
Yeah, don't do it alone. I mean, honestly, one of the things I always tell people to look at is, okay, Meetup, it's a free app. Most people have a smartphone. Be able to check that out. Most people think Meetup is a single dating site. It's not. It's whatever you're interested in. And they have a ton of networking groups where people are looking for jobs.
Oh, I've never even heard of that. That's great. Okay.
And that's something where it's just like, hey, these events are going on a regular basis. Sometimes there's a fee, but most often it's free. I've met numerous candidates at networking events that are free through meetups. And I was just like, I've gotten probably 8 years' time, probably 15 or 20 people I've gotten hired from that I've met through meetups.
Oh my goodness, I never even knew that app existed. What a wonderful resource.
Yeah, I mean, it's something free there. Yes, I would have 1 or 2. The tools that I'd have, okay, don't go at it alone. Be able to actually, look at different resources available. LinkedIn is definitely going to be a huge asset. Okay. Make sure you have it
for free.
I don't think, okay, depending on your financial situation, if you utilize LinkedIn on a free account, I think you can be fine. And one of the things I recommend is just like include your email address in your professional headline or in the first line of your summary section. So if you are looking for a position, the recruiters can be able to get in touch with you using it. I mean, even though we might have, the recruiter might have a premium account, recruiter or recruiter light, we're limited on how many emails we can send on a monthly basis. Candidates don't respond to those emails. We are not able to actually get in touch with you. So try to make it easy for us to be able to actually get in touch with you. So having your LinkedIn profile, having your email address included in there. And the final thing I tell you that actually you make sure you've got to believe that you're going to find what you're looking for. It may not happen tomorrow. It may take a couple months, but you got to believe that it's going to happen. And if you don't believe that, if you believe you're never going to find another position, that's going to become a reality. So you have to believe, I'm going to find a better position. I'm going to have this, 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 and this. I'm going to enjoy going to work, and all these things are going to happen. And you write it down, and you look at that on a daily basis, because that will become a reality soon enough.
It's a self-fulfilling prophecy either way.
Yep.
Oh, I love that.
And I literally, Jessica, the classic one was, I had the candidate that I was talking to you about that actually she was looking for 3 years, was a marketing director, and didn't have the sales experience, and will be starting with the position on April 2nd. Come back and everything else like that. Right. When she actually said to me, she's like, well, I'm nervous in the interview process. I'm not going to be able to get this job. And I was just like, I responded back to her with an email. I was like, look, stop having the loser thought process there and start. I work with winners, and I chose to work with you because I know you're a winner. So I was just like, you need to believe the same thing I do. She came back and let me know, she's just like, thank you for kicking me in my ass, because honestly, the head trash I had was getting in my way. I'm like, we all have it. It happens for all of us. And we just need to come to the realization. It's just like, put it aside and just come to the realization. You are going to get what you want, but you got to believe it's going to happen.
I love that. And how's she doing?
She's excited. She starts with the company April 2nd.
That's right. That's when she got the job. Yeah.
She gave her notice to her current employers. Looking forward to this next job.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. All right. So you're on your third career change. Now, what's next for you? Where do you go from here? Any exciting things to announce?
I'm definitely going to run for office. Kidding. I'm going to stay.
I almost believe you.
I'm going to stay a recruiter. I'm going to stay a career coach. I'm going to keep helping people.
Okay.
I'm going to be the guy that is, here's a perfect example. I was up in New York City taking the train back at 2 or 3 o'clock on Sunday afternoon, and the woman who was more or less checking the tickets to get on the train to go from New York City back to Philadelphia, you could just tell her she was having a rough day. I put my hand on her shoulder and smiled and was like, it's going to get better. And she looked at me, she's like, why did you touch me? And I was just like, because you look like you needed someone to actually tell you it was going to get better. And she smiled. She's like, you're right.
Oh, gosh. So you love what you did. That's clear. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going to be that guy that you're going to run into in the line that's actually is just like, okay, I'm going to say to you, miss, it's like, you're too beautiful not to smile.
I love that. That makes me happy. All right, so people want to find you.
Yes, the preferred method is find me on LinkedIn.
Okay.
Find me on LinkedIn, Bill Fell, recruiter, life science recruiter, Philadelphia, PA.
Yeah.
If you put Bill Fell in quotes and put Philadelphia, PA, you'll find it.
Okay, excellent. Well, Bill, thank you so much. You've given some really good, hopeful advice.
Jessica, thank you. Sorry for some of my answers being a little long.
No, I loved them. Not at all. Thank you. Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
You've been listening to Resume Storyteller with Virginia Franco. To learn more about storytelling strategies to catch the eye of today's SKIM online readers, hiring and decision makers, go to www.virginiafrancoresumes.com.